Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, how to voice the radio. So today, I'm in luck. We're sitting here, and we are just weeks away. We're so close to actually getting to the release of Mega Revolution. And I'm like, yeah, maybe it's time to have a look at whether this set is actually worth focusing on compared to the ones we've seen previously. Sound like a plan? Excellent. We did have a look at this set previously in a similar situation, but we didn't actually know everything about it at that point. Now we do. Job's a good un. So if we start off a couple of sets ago, let's have a look at Destined Rivals. And Destined Rivals was a good set. Here's the thing though, if we talk about Destined Rivals from a playability standpoint, now it did give us a bit. To be fair, it did give us a little bit. It gave us Marnie's Grimmsnarl. That was absolutely the most playable deck, the biggest metagame change we saw from that set. But then it's also kind of fair to point out that Marnie's Grimmsnarl was also released as a separate deck. Now, it's admittedly not always easy to find that deck for retail because it's really good and it's got an exclusive Morpeko illustration rare, but that was released as its own deck. That was a thing. So it was from the set, but it wasn't in Japan, and it was a deck as well over here, so, take that as you will. And then there's other things like Cynthia's Garchomp, for instance. Good playable deck. Has made a little bit of a splash in the metagame. But that's basically it. From a playability standpoint, we've got Cynthia's Garchomp, which is good but not, metagame defining. And then Marnie's Grimmsnarl, which is admittedly very top tier, but was also available in its own deck. So it's one of those take it or leave it kind of scenarios. And then in terms of value, look, the Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX is still a phenomenal card. It's up there around $350, something like that. It's ended up being one of the big cards from the Scarlet and Violet block as a whole. It's a big card. And it's not just the Mewtwo. The Cynthia's Garchomp special illustration rare is sitting there at around about a $200-ish card. And then you got Team Rocket's Moltres at about $175 and Ethan's Ho-Oh at about $150. This is, in terms of value, pretty sound, honestly. Like, as a set, this is pretty sound in terms of value. It's even got that token illustration rare, which is way more expensive than it should be. It's Misty Psyduck, which is legitimately a bit annoying because Misty Psyduck is, of course, the Okacheke artwork, the one that I like the most. I will have this card. I'll just cry a little bit at how much I have to pay for the single. So, as a set, Destined Rivals, good set. Real top tier set. It had one great deck, one good deck, a bunch of interesting playability stuff, and then decent cards for value at the top end. There is a lot to like, and of course the whole Trainers Pokemon thing is a pretty big deal. Cool. Now, between Mega Revolution and Destined Rivals, we did get Black Bolt and White Flare. And I was trying to decide the best way round to do this, and I think the best way round is just to treat these as a set in between the two. Because you know what? When I'm trying to decide where to put my money for Pokemon cards, I am deciding how much I want to be looking for Black Bolt and White Flare, and how much I want to be going specifically for like Mega Revolution. Just remember they are different sets with different set lists, although they are very much themed together, so please bear that in mind. Now, from a playability standpoint, Black Bolt and White Flare are not great. Considering it's a double set and it's got a pretty big number of cards in, hasn't really added much to the metagame, like at all. Kind of Zekrom-ish a little bit, maybe, but I think that's about the best we've got. This was a set that was legal for the World Championships this year, and that was kind of a little bit disappointing in that it really didn't add very much to the World Championships. Hilda's a great card that sees a bunch of play. It's also a supporter card that gives you a little bit of extra for your deck. Like, it's not exactly some kind of card which is breaking open the metagame. The thing is, there is a lot to like about Black Bolt and White Flare. Firstly, every Pokemon in the set gets an illustration rare, or a special illustration rare if it's an EX. And this has led to, I mean, look, we've looked at it on this channel. It seems very much like the pull rates are actually higher here. Like you're actually going to get more illustration rares from the same number of packs as you would in another set, for instance, which is kind of absurd. And then, of course, you've got things like the Pokeball and Master Ball, which is obviously a big thing. So when you add in kind of the Pokeball and the Master Ball and the extra illustration rares and all of that, you do feel like you're getting better pull rates in this set. And that's actually kind of awesome. So if you're just kind of a casual fan wanting to open up cool stuff, this is probably the set, honestly. Oh, and foil energy. I forgot about the foil energy. There's some of that in here as well. So this is a great set for just decent pull rate. It's not that playable. It hasn't done much to the metagame. But between the Pokeball and the Master Ball and the Holo Energy and the increased pull rates from illustration rares, it is a set where you're going to be opening up cool stuff more often. If you are just a casual fan wanting to open cool packs, you can probably stop and this is the answer, but don't stop watching the video. I will be sad. And in terms of value, I got to tell you, this is a decent set for value. Obviously, we've got the Victini Black and White Rare, which can be found in both Black Bolt and White Flare. Then you've got the Reshiram and Zekrom Black and White Rares, which are coming in here as well, which are actually both, frankly, pretty gosh darn big deals. And yeah, there is a lot here in terms of, you got 3 big cards, all of which are somewhere in the $400 to $500 mark, depending on where and when you look. Normally closer to $400. Then we got the Reshiram and Zekrom Special Illustration Rares, which are sitting rocking about $200, which is very cool. And then in terms of your illustration rares, yeah, like, in White Flare, the best we can do is Samurott at like $50. But over in Black Bolt, we've got Seismitoad, which, for some inexplicable reasons, like $185. Then there's a few others up there as well. So on the higher end, this is not actually as good as Destined Rivals. And there's more cards, so the chance of pulling a specific one you want is lower. So in terms of value, maybe Destined Rivals is still a better bet. You've got the black and white rares here, don't get me wrong. There's 3 gigantic cards rather than 1. And then you got the $200. Well, maybe this is slightly better. But the point is, it's not that much better than Destined Rivals. And with the increased number, that means the chance of pulling what you want is lower. However, you've got the increased pull rates and everything else, which is kind of cool. So Destined Rivals, very good set, pretty playable, good for high-level value, and you got the Trainers Pokemon, which everybody loves. And then Black Bolt and White Flare, we've got this set which has really nice pull rates for a whole bunch of different stuff, and then also has some big hits at the top, despite not really being a particularly playable set at all. So where does Mega Evolution come down? Well, in terms of playability, it's early. But we do know what's happening over in Japan, and it's kind of weird with Mega Evolution. Because there's nothing in Mega Evolution which looks to be on the same level as, say, Marnie's Grimmsnarl. There's nothing in the set which is going to do as much, at least at this moment in time. There's nothing new deck-wise in the set which is going to make as much of an impact as Marnie's Grimmsnarl. But we do have Gardevoir, well, Mega Gardevoir EX. And since the release of Mega Evolution, what was Mega Symphonia and Mega Brave in Japan, Gardevoir has been the best deck in the format. And it's really started to break away. It's getting noticeably better than the other decks. And no, that's not a coincidence. And Gardevoir's not a new deck. Gardevoir literally just won the World Championships last weekend. So we can't exactly say Gardevoir's only good because of Mega Gardevoir. No, it literally just won the World Championships last weekend without it. But there's no hiding the fact that Mega Gardevoir does make it a lot better. That's the big card in the set. But then there's a bunch of these Mega EX decks which are viable. Mega Lucario, Mega Manectric, Mega Venusaur. All three of these, despite not being the best deck in the format, these are all relevant decks which are seeing play and success over in Japan right now with this set legal. And then you add in the fact that Gardevoir's here, and then of course time we get post-rotation, I'm not expecting much, honestly, from the other two sets we've talked about here to make much of an impact post-rotation, but I am expecting some things in here like the Megas to get better post-rotation when the format gets a little bit less known. So playability-wise, this should win. I'm not saying it will, we'll have to wait and see, but I'm saying it absolutely should. And in terms of value, again, we can't say for absolute certain, but what we can do is go and have a look over in Japan at the kind of values we've got there compared to the other sets and make some guesses along those lines. And we need to start off talking about the gold cards because there's your gold Lucario and there's your gold Gardevoir, way higher, and I mean way higher. To put it into context, over in Japan, your black and white rares are about 45,000 yen. Your special illustration rare Mewtwo is about 38,000 yen. And these gold cards are 70,000 yen. But it's not only that, there's a special illustration rare Lily, which is sitting there at 55,000, higher than anything in the other two sets. So we start off with three gigantic hits. Now, I will say from there it does fall off quite sharply, but even then, like, the Gardevoir is trending just a tiny bit below your Reshiram and Zekrom special illustration rares. So you add all of this up and you go, oh, well, Mega Evolution should be the most playable, and Mega Evolution is looking like it's got the biggest hits. And then you go, oh, yeah, maybe it's Mega Evolution. And we're early, ladies and gentlemen. We're early. But I think the answer is Mega Evolution. Post-rotation, when we got a smaller card pool, I think some of these are going to really jump up. In the short term, we've already got multiple playable decks coming out of here. And let's not forget that you've got the giant hits as well. And I think you add all of that up and you end up with the best among them. And I think all three of these sets are great. I think it's a brilliant trio of sets. But I think if you add them all up together for all the reasons I've told you, I think the answer's Mega Evolution. So there we go. That's what you need to know. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me which of these you're getting hyped about. Tell me which of these you've picked up. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Derek, who's been a support of ours for a while now and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.